Let's see what type of music we can make. Let's see what type of music we can make. Let's see what type of music we can make. Using a Minecraft villager. Using a fork scratching a plate. Using a zipper. Welcome to season 3 of SJ's Sonic Brews. Let's make some sounds. Let's see what type of music we can make. Using a fork scratching a plate. Let's import the plate sample. Usually I would play for you guys what the original sample sounds like, but trust me, none of y'all want to hear that. For those of you who do want to hear what the sample sounds like, here it is. For those of you who don't, I'm going to give you guys 3 seconds to turn your volume down or mute it. 3, 2, 1. Let's crop the sample so we can try and get one note. We can see a pitch. That means we can tune it. This is why no one likes the sound of a fork scratching a plate or nails on a chalkboard, because look at all the high frequencies here. Let's isolate the pitch, export the plate. Let's crop the file. Let's pitch it down 2 octaves so we get this sound. Let's add some reverb. And now we have a spacey synth. Let's see what type of music we can make using a Minecraft villager. I thought this series was just household items. Yeah, it was. Then someone suggested I make a noise out of a cat, and it kind of spiraled out of control from there. It really was the cat's meow, wasn't it? I let myself out. Let's import the villager sample. Let's EQ the sound so we get more bass. Let's crop it so we just get one pitch. Let's tune the sound. Let's add an amp so we can isolate the bass. Let's set the root key to G. Let's run the sound through an amp. It's a bass. You have to run it through an amp. Now I got a bass. Let's see what type of music we can make using a car engine. Let's import the car engine. Let's crop the file. Let's cut the clip into 2 different parts. So I've isolated one clip. It sounds like this. The other sample we're going to use sounds like this. Let's turn up the mids for one. Let's take out some of the lows for the other sound. Let's export both the files. Let's crop the first car engine sound. Pitch it down and assign it to this note. Let's crop the other car engine sample and assign it to this note here. Let's add some reverb. Now we got a brush kit. Let's see what type of music we can make using a toilet flush. Let's import the toilet flush. We're going to use the same technique we did with the car engine. First sample sounds like this. Second sample sounds like this. Let's add some low end to the first sample. Let's raise the low mids for some more presence. Let's export the samples. As usual, if there's a sound you want me to try and make music out of, let me know in the comments. Let's crop the first sample. Pitch it down and assign it to this note. We're going to repeat the process with the second sample and assign it to this note. Now we have an 808 you can use for an EDM song. Let's see what type of music we can make by jumping on the floor. And then we'll make a loop out of it. So we're going to do this in 2 different rooms so we get 2 different sounds. So the first one's going to be in here on the carpet floor. And the second one's going to be on a harder surface. Let's take the floor clip and crop it. Let's boost up the low end. Let's export the floor file. Repeating the process with the tile floor. I'm wanting one more sound, so let's go into our random samples folder and pull out the brush stroke from episode 7. Let's set our tempo. So before, the term 808 was classified as a type of low frequency beat used in trap, hip hop, R&B, and various other styles. The 808 was originally a drum machine like this, made by Roland in the 1980s. How this one works is you import your samples up here. You can import up to 10 samples. We can use these 16 buttons here to create a rhythm that we can loop. And that's what we'll be doing in part 2. Let's see what type of music we can make by jumping on the floor. And then we'll make a loop out of it. Let's load in our 3 samples. So since these are 16th notes, if we pressed all of them and then hit play, it would sound like this with the click. Since this is an 808, we're going to pump up the bass. We're going to pitch it down a little bit. And so our kick beat will sound like this. We're going to pitch the snare sounds down and they're going to sound like this. I'm going to try and create a syncopated rhythm with the brush strokes. They're going to sound like this. Let's turn the pitch up and the volume down. We're going to turn the pitch up and it's going to sound like this. And the finished 808 loop sounds like this. type of music we can make using a refrigerator. Let's import the fridge noise. Let's crop the file so we just get one pitch. I'm hearing a D sharp, but that's not registering yet, so let's try and fix that. Let's isolate the highs so we get as much of the pitch as possible. We're going to export the file. Now let's tune the pitch. We're going to open up our sampler. We're going to select the fridge sound. Let's crop the sample. So here's the original note. But here's what's interesting. The further down you go, you hear a second harmonic, a fifth above the original note, start to come in here. And the further down you go, the more that second harmonic, you can hear it as opposed to the original tone. So it reminds me of an organ sound. Let's add an amp to isolate the tones. This is kind of a electric piano and jazz organ hybrid. Let's see what type of music we can make using a zipper. Let's import the zipper. We're going to crop it. Let's turn the volume down. Let's isolate the high end. We're seeing a pitch, but I kind of want to go in a less musical route. Let's export the zipper sound. This is why you should always save your samples. You never know when you're going to use them. Remember the floor loop we made in episode 26? The brushstroke pattern that we did, we're going to replace that with the zipper sound since it kind of reminds me of a record scratch. So we're going to load in the zipper sound. We're going to turn down the volume and turn up the pitch. And now hear the zipper instead of the brushstroke. And then all together it's this. Let's see what type of music we can make using a door closing. Let's import the door. Let's crop the file. And let's export it. Let's open up our 808. We're going to set our tempo. We're going to load the door in as two separate sounds. We're going to crop the sample. We're going to pitch it down and shorten it so that it sounds like this. The second sample we're just going to keep as is. Let's cut off the high end. And then we're just going to make some more slight adjustments, just for taste. Add some reverb, and there you have it. Let's see what type of music we can make using a camera. Let's import the camera. We're going to cut the clip. I'm hearing two different shutter sounds. Let's make those two different clips. We're going to export both the files. Just a side note, thank y'all for the continued support in this series. This is the 30th episode. If you guys have any suggestions for a sound you want me to make, leave them in the comments. Let's set our tempo. Let's open up our 808. Let's import both the samples. Assign one of the camera samples to all 16th notes. Sounds like this. Let's crop the sample. We're going to crop the other camera sample. We're going to create a syncopated rhythm that sounds like this. Let's boost the low mids. We're going to turn the volume down on this sample. We're going to add some reverb. Our 808 loop sounds a lot like castanets.